Pow, we're live with Canadian Wine Reveal number 9 of our Canadian Wine Advent Calendar, followed by an interview. Carl Boucher, how are you?
I'm great. Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across Canada. Welcome, welcome. It's day 9. Holy smokes,
Yeah.
two-third in, two-third. How much fun is that? Yeah, and like tonight we have a recorded interview from one of our friends and one of the most known winemaker and winery owner in our club because like they've been part of what we do almost since the very beginning. So yeah, it's a very exciting night. I can't wait to reveal that wine, that little back vintage library wine, a wine that doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, really, really exciting. Mira, how's it going today?
It's going pretty well, pretty well.
Pretty well.
Yeah, it's one of those days. We were supposed to go visit family, but you know what? In BC, again, the roads between the Okanagan and the rest of the province are either closed or the ferries have been canceled all day because of winds. The snow is blizzarding. It's just a night to like stay in, have some Canadian wine, maybe listen to an interview with a winemaker. You know, it's one of those nights.
And digging in a 2024 Riesling, a unicorn wine that we
From
revealed
last
last
night.
night. So yeah, absolutely. We have in our glass a beautiful Riesling from Tightrope, the 2024 vintage that we talked about yesterday. And we're going to reveal our wine number 9. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a cozy night at the Carl's Wine Club headquarter. And you know what? As much like we love the family, but kind of feel good to see that we're going to stay put for the next couple of days and relax and sharing wines with our members and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. And it's so nice to see you, Karen and Leslie. I think I've got Leslie's name in our prize draws already. We're doing nightly prize draws, but I don't have Karen
No, it's our
Chapman. Nice
first
to see
time
you,
tuning
Karen.
in.
No, I might have just missed her on these
Yeah,
prize draws. So you've been added. You've been added to the prize draw. Anyone else who's here but hasn't commented, leave us a comment and just say hi or tell us where you're tuning in from or tell us what Canadian wines you've tried lately. And I'll add you to the door prizes for an Ano Vino, for a surprise bottle of wine, for some incredible chocolates. Hey, Jim, nice to see you again.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean, and
Lisa's
every
like,
night we try to give our members a little bit of time to argue or approve my score for each and every wine. Also, we try to find one word for the wine that we're tasting. So the little analysis in one word. So so yeah. So there's a few fun thing. And if you're part of the Advent calendar, well, welcome back. I'm not sure if you have unwrapped your bottle just yet. If you're waiting for me and Mira, and if you're not part of the Advent calendar and you're tuning in tonight, welcome. Welcome. Let us know where you're tuning from and which wine you have in your glass. So cheers. Mira, um, I mean, this very winery, like, should we start giving more precise hints right now? Oh,
yes,
yeah, my
yes. I
pairing,
mean, Mike
pairing,
already
pairing.
knows. He had steak tartare with it. Is it I mean, there's a pretty huge hint on the top of the bottle. So let's start with that, shall we? And oh, nice to see you guys. Stacy and Jeff are on. Hey, Daryl and Sandy. Um, Outstanding number 9 waiting. Well, it is okay. So here's a big hint. It's a varietal that Daryl very much enjoys. Hey, Sandy. Dean's saying the wines so far have been excellent. Tonight looks exceptional as well. They are. This is like seriously a very, very, very like, I don't know how to say it, but it's like Christmas every day if you're a Canadian wine lover, because these are super rare, super good wines. I mean, holy
Mira,
smokes.
I think
Yeah.
I mentioned it at the beginning, and I don't think I've ever had as much fun curating one selection than this one. Honestly. And now we're tasting them again every night, and we're getting the feedbacks from all over the country, and I think my funds just keep increasing every night because I kind of getting the seal of approval from many, many, many people. And the more I taste it, and every time I'm like, fuck yeah, that is another great, like there's so many different things from different vintages, so many things to cross pollinate. Like I mean, this is just so much fun. And I mean, like today we have some very key players, some key, no, not players, some key contributor in this whole circle of what we've been doing for 6 years now. And our winery tonight, it's almost family. It's almost like they've been part of what we're doing since, so traveling with us a lot and all that. And I mean, sharing the the varietal marathons with us all the time, and like bringing, we even did harvest with these people. I mean, so it's, yeah, it's really part of our ecosystem. So it's so exciting to reveal their very first Merlot from their own vineyard. So this is the number one, like the first iteration of what we know from this very special vineyard, because there's not a lot of vineyard in the Okanagan that provide that type of structure. So now I'm
All
giving
right.
some hint. We'll
So
talk
now
about
you know it's
Merlot.
Okanagan, it's Merlot.
It's
I'll give
28.
you another big hint. There's 2 Karens in the chat tonight. One Karen just walked in the door. She's in the Lower Mainland, but another Karen is in the Okanagan. She is actually at the District Wine Village, which is a really cool place to go if you haven't been. There's like 10 wineries in one spot with a skating rink in the middle in the
Are they
winter,
doing a
and in the
watch
summer they
along?
do concerts, and there's a restaurant there. Anyway, that Karen Chapman is there, and Karen has some pretty close ties. She works at the winery that we're about to reveal.
Yeah.
Um, we got a lot of hints, like who's not opened it, who wants to guess? Because if you've
I
already
mean,
had it with your beef tartare or your tri-tip, as these guys in the comments are saying, then you know. Okay, so then wine number 9. Let me give you another big hint, okay? Get ready on the chat. Tell me if you know what the winery this is. Look at that big hint. If you've been following for a while, you must know what winery
if
that
you
is.
know, you
That was
know. If you know, you
our
know.
first ever winery of the year, voted by members from our BC discoveries. And do I still have a picture at that winery? Let me see here. Yes, this was epic. This is at Black Market with the winemaker Rob Hammersley on the right. And on the left, you've got Fred DeProfio, winemaker at Bellaterra, who flew out to meet his counterpart. So Fred was the winery of the year in Ontario, voted by members. Rob was winery of the year BC. They wanted to meet each other. They flew to each other's events. It was really freaking cool.
And I think like that day, it was such an incredibly special, like so special because of the weather. First and foremost, we had a torrential rain before the event, but what made it special is right after, when the rain stopped, 45 minutes before the event, we had a freaking flood, not only like just outside the tent, but all over the parking lot. It was crazy. But the weather settled down. The cloud
It was
came down
beautiful.
in the valley over Skaha Lake. And it was just like magic. Like it was just purely magic. And the incredible night.
And we had a pig roast on a spit. And it was just really, really cool. So let's open it up, okay? Because I can't wait to hear the real story. I haven't heard the full story behind this wine. And I know
Right?
it's a very deeply personal thing for Rob, because his dad, who passed, really helped them build up this vineyard. And there's a block named after him now. So ready? Woo. Woo-hoo-hoo.
That's the 2018 unsanctioned series from the Conviction Ridge Vineyard Black Market Merlot. Yeah, like Mira says, like and the cool thing is I was talking to Rob about what should we put in, and he's like, you know what, Carl, Merlot is what we do. Merlot, it's the vineyard. It's just right outside of the tasting room. Uh, this is the first that we've made as a single vineyard, and it will be so cool because I have 2.5 cases left. And no, that's not true. We have 3 cases left. There's one case that it keeps for when you release the 2023 Merlot. It will do a 6 year vertical. I think he's going to have 12 six bottle vertical to offer to his wine club members. So there's one set of 12 going to go on a 6 year vertical. That's the only other thing left. And we've got the other 2 cases for that advent calendar. So there's a word conversation who happened almost at mid-year this year, and it's been planned for a while that we're going to have that wine in our Pan Canadian Advent Calendar. Such a privilege because we have, like we mentioned, right? We harvested with them. We've been there so many times. We had so many great events and sharing some Pan Canadian things together that now we have the 2018 in our glass tonight. So yeah.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Guess what? Jim and Tracy have opened a 2019 syndicate tonight from Black Market. The syndicate is their blend, their signature wine. Daryl is calling out your nemesis, Merlot, that if this were to be a blind tasting, Merlot seems to be the one that's hardest for Carl to guess of all the varietals. Vicky's saying it's a beauty right there, and we know that Vicky loves her Black Market wines. She knows what she's talking about with that. And Jared was wondering which night we would get a wine from Rob Hammersley from Black Market, because we knew it's going to have to be in there in some way because these guys are just the best.
And we didn't have them last year. So, and they, yeah.
No,
And so,
totally.
I mean, it had to, right? So,
Absolutely. And Jim, you guys also opened the Merlot, it sounds like, and says it sings the Merlot bouquet is so ripe and fruity. Amazing. Amazing. That's a great night right there with a
so
syndicate and a Merlot.
so the Syndicate 2019 was one of my part of my top 10 wine of the year. I believe 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know how many years now, but and it's funny that the 2019 conversation just come up right now because with Richard De Silva in 3 weeks now when we're going to do our tasting Thursday with Richard, we've decided to dig into his 2019. He wanted to review his stuff, so that's why we sent that email yesterday. Because, to my opinion, 2019 was such a special vintage in terms of it was a sleeper vintage, a colder vintage, and talking to a good friend Clay Martin at the BC Wine Review, we exchanged information about what we're tasting quite often, and Clay and I always been on the very same page about the 2019 vintage. We both had a really, really profound opinion on the 2019, knowing that long term this vintage will be incredible. And like Jim, you're having the Syndicate tonight, which has been one of my very favorite Canadian wines for a long time. That's cool. And now we're going back even a little like older with the 2018, which we tasted 18 Malbec from Riverstone. I don't know how many nights ago, but it was the other 2018 vintage feature in this in the Pan Canadian Advent Calendar. It's pretty cool, but such a like okay, Riverstone and Black Market are probably 20 minutes apart, 20-minute drive, and you see the difference in the structures of these wines. The Malbec from Riverstone was plushed, rich, was soft in the mouthfeel, was textural. That Black Market Merlot, it was ready to drink. that black market Merlot feels like it's just starting its journey. The Conviction Ridge, the Conviction Ridge vineyard has something unique in terms of the type of structure that it provides to the Merlot. These single vineyard that Rob is doing needs so much time to open up and to soften up. Not that it's a bad thing. To me, it's a very good thing. It shows aging potential. Like these wines are built to last. Very Bordeaux-esque style. But yeah, that 2018 like is just starting. This is just starting his journey toward greatness, and it was so much fun. It is so much fun to have that in our glass.
Absolutely. Jared and Lisa sounds like they have a Black Market 2017 Syrah Magnum. And they're wondering how long should they wait on that one?
17 Magnum. I mean, I know that these guys are cellaring their wines like perfectly. So 4 years,
4 more
2 years.
years?
I don't know. To me, I would say crack that open when we visit you guys. It's the perfect
In
time.
May?
Uh, but Mira, just next to you, we also have a Magnum of Syrah right next, like on the glass table on your right hand side.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly which vintage we have
Okay.
there. It might be the 2018. It might be 2018 that we have also. And we also have a 2018 syndicate in the cellar. I almost cracked it tonight just for fun, but I didn't. But yeah, what is the Syrah vintage that we have, Mira?
Oh, someone's gonna have to read the Roman numerals. What is that? 2021?
No, 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 19.
No, 19.
Is it?
VI. Yeah, 19. So we have a 19 of that Syrah and a 19 of Magnum of the tightrope Syrah. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I think there's yeah. There's we have a few of our fans, a few of our members who really love Black Market, and they took
Did we do a
Rob up on
dyslexic
the
or is the screen just backwards? If it's XVI, that's 16.
VI. Yeah, yeah, it's 16.
XVI. So
Well, I was
so it's
seeing I.
16.
Oh, it's 16.
IV would be 19.
No,
Anyway,
IV would be
doesn't
14.
exist. I don't know. Ask ChatGPT.
14.
I used to know. This is how I actually learned numbers back in Romania. So okay, so we have a 16 and of the black market Syrah, which is really cool
So
because
so Jared, listen, Jared here. So next time we go visit in Calgary or you come here, we bring these magnums and we're gonna do a mini vertical magnum of Syrah tasting. And I'm sure that if we connect with Rob will pull one either from 15 or 7 or 18, and we're gonna do a 3 year vertical of Syrah Magnum. What do you think of that? Eh? That can
sounds
be
pretty
pretty
crazy.
epic. Pretty
Sounds
epic.
amazing.
So yeah, so now I want to do something, okay? This is the bottle that I opened when I did the interview with Rob. Okay? So there's half a bottle of, and I did that interview, I'm not sure, maybe 7 days ago. Okay? I put the cork on and I just wanted to let it sit until the interview to see how it's doing. Okay? I haven't touched that bottle since the interview 7 days ago. Okay?
Like, here's the thing. I'd say more than half of the wines we taste, if you let them sit after you've opened them for 7 days, they're dead in 7 days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like they're dead.
Now, Mira, you need to send a runner up here, okay?
Okay. Hello? There's none here. There's no runners.
There's none.
Here. No.
Oh, well,
Okay,
we'll.
Okay,
Yeah,
tell me,
you
is it
have
dead
to.
or is there still some life in that Merlot?
This not dead. It smells so good.
Oh my god,
It
that's
smells so
crazy.
good. That is crazy.
Wow.
That is so much fun. I love doing these kind of shit. That's the advantage. People make fun at us all the time. Leftover wine. What you talking about, you guys? Like, stop talking about leftover wine. It doesn't exist. That's the fun part. These tests like that makes me so happy. This is crazy. This wine, half a bottle with just a cork, just the tip of the cork at the top for 7 days, and this wine is just so shining right now. And
Holy
I mean,
smokes.
Rob and I are talking about it during the interview. You guys gonna listen, like we're gonna start it up like in a couple minute time, but the structure that the Conviction Ridge Vineyard provide to the wines is crazy. And like there's at least another 7, 8, 9 years going on on that 2018. This wine will age forever. I mean, and that's not a knock at the Malbec from Riverstone. The Malbec from Riverstone was ready to drink now. And it's fair, a 7-year-old Malbec from the South Okanagan. I mean, good lifespan, right? Who will complain about 7-year-old? Here, 7-year-old, but it's just getting started. That is so much fun. Oh my God.
That's wild. That's wild. Okay. Shall we jump right into this interview then?
Before you do that, I just want to, because we have some people who are often interested in like oak aging and all that. This one, 14.4 percent alcohol, so very well balanced for a Merlot. I like my Merlot over 14% to give that humph, to give that little bit more of a power. So that it's 14 and a half, love it. And it was made with 50% new oak when made in 2018. So a good 50% of new French oaks, which is awesome. So now the oak is well integrated. The length is awesome. And yeah, Vicky has a great point. I mean, this is one of the oldest vineyard in the Killeen area, and you see it when you visit a black market. You go there, you look at the trunk of these bad boys, like they are like solid, like big old trunk. Yeah, that's something. I mean, they're deep, and there's also they're sitting on a very special piece of land with a different sun exposure and provide long exposure to the sun from morning. So there's a very specific thing that Rob is explaining specifically about the mountain, the little edges that they have, and it provides the sun at certain very critical point of the day, and that provides some very unique property to this wine. So without waiting any longer, I think Mira can start it off.
Let's bring in Rob Hammersley from Black Market.
So, Canadian wine lovers, we are right now here with my friend Rob Hammersley, owner, winemaker at Black Market. Pretty much, probably 90% of you who are listening right now know the man. Rob, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Pan Canadian Advent Calendar. This is reveal number 8 now. Wow, this is a heck of a wine. So let's talk a little bit. Here we have the 2018 Conviction Ridge Vineyard Merlot, which is one of the staple of your portfolio. I mean, this is the vineyard right next to the tasting room. This is some of the oldest vines in Killeen. So we'll talk about that. But welcome, man. How are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I'm good. And happy holidays to you and to all of your Advent calendar participants. So it sounds like you guys are having a pretty good time so far.
I mean, it's been a heck of a lineup. I'm really, really happy. And lots of bag vintages. We got the '07 the other day, another 2018 from nearby you. I mean, Caledon and Oliver are not so far.
20
2018
minutes.
Malbec from Riverstone was pretty darn good. So yeah, before we talk about the Conviction Ridge Vineyard, before we talk about like this, the wine and the 2018 vintage, let's talk about Black Market, because there's some new people around here like who are hanging out with us. So I would like to introduce you about and your beautiful winery. Let's talk about a little bit how Black Market came about, when and how do you find that beautiful little piece of land that you're sitting on right now in Caledon.
Sure. So we've been at this for, well, since 2014. So we've been kind of under the radar or hiding in plain sight, as some people might characterize that as. We're a pretty small winery. This most recent vintage was our largest ever, and we did just over 3,000 cases. But when we started back in 2012, we did 100 cases of the syndicate, and that was it. So we've kind of grown a fair bit over the last decade. Started off at a custom crush facility for the first few vintages, buying all of our fruit. And then in 2018, we finally made the leap and purchased a property here in the little hamlet of Caledon, which, if you don't know the Okanagan at all, we're kind of right in the middle. Penticton is the closest city, and it straddles the two main lakes in the valley, the Okanagan Lake to the north and Skaha Lake to the south. So geographically, we're kind of right in the middle of that long, narrow valley. I'm just looking out my window right now at Skaha Lake, which is a beautiful spot. We've got a nice little vineyard and patio perched on a bluff overlooking the lake. And that's a pretty defining geographical characteristic of our site. We are on the west side of the valley, which means we get predominantly morning sun. We have an eastern aspect to our site. So that's good for some of the varietals that we have and that you would typically see in our little village. Some of the more aromatic whites, Chardonnay, Pinot Noirs. But we do also have that block of Merlot, which is providing the wine in the bottle you guys are having today. And that is a bit, I don't want to call it a unicorn, but there's definitely something unique about this site. If you were to look on paper and say, what are the characteristics of an ideal site for Merlot, I guarantee you our vineyard would not show up there. Having said that, though, it is a pretty cool spot to grow Merlot. Typically, with your bigger reds, they're looking more for heat. So you're thinking, southern aspect or getting that late afternoon western sun. Maybe a little further south in the valley. There isn't a lot of Merlot planted as far north as we are. Not that we're far north, but in the valley, typically you're going to see your bigger reds a little further south. But what is unique about this site, and this all rolls into the definition of terroir, we're on a bit of a saddle. So we're on a knoll, and part of our property slopes from the north to the south, and then generally speaking from west to east. But at the north, where the highest part of our site is, we actually have grapes on both sides of that slope. So some of it is west facing and some of it is east facing. And then in the summer, in that more important sort of critical August, September timeframe, the way the arc of the sun works that late in the summer, the sun sets in a saddle between two mountains that are to the northwest of us. And what that does is it gives us about an extra hour of late afternoon sunlight, more directly impacting the western slope of our block. But that's one of the ways that we're able to ripen Merlot in this site on a typically eastern facing aspect. So that's a very unique attribute of our site, which allows us to properly grow Merlot here.
because without that little saddle, without that very specific effect, you might be a little short of degree days to bring your Merlot to a consistent delivery year in and year
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
Just that little saddle or the little bump on your vineyard doesn't matter. Like if you're looking at the mountain up or on your terroir, that combination of both absolutely makes this possible.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
crazy. Like when we
Yeah.
talk about like star aligning and like just like being the pure result of terroir, and like you cannot have that more to the T. It's really really cool. So you also produce another, because now we're talking Merlot, but we can't move forward talking about your site and talking about Jim's block, which is a very special block of Bacchus. You've been almost like a cult following now in the last 5-6 years. People are showing up for the Bacchus at the tasting room. It's not a widely known grape varietals. This is not an hybrid grape, but this is something very special. And you make it. You're probably one of the only one in Canada to make a dry Bacchus, because a lot of people will use Bacchus as a aromatic, a little sweeter. So tell us a little bit about that, and after that we'll come back and talk about the Merlot, because I always love talk Bacchus with you.
So Bacchus it's probably the coolest grape that 99% of wine drinkers have never really heard of before. When we purchased this property, I had never had a glass of Bacchus wine before in my life. I'd heard of the grape, but I had no idea what the wine was like. So we went out and found a few representative examples of it, and more often than not, they were off dry or tending to the sweeter side, which still made nice, enjoyable wines, but it's not my jam. I don't like sweet wines typically, unless it's a dessert wine. It's just not my preference. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to figure out a way to do this a little differently and see what happens. So when we purchased the property in 2018, we took that first year as a bit of a sort of intentional learning period. And I did 3 micro harvests, roughly a week apart through September, to capture different chemistry in the grapes. So different levels of ripeness, different levels of acidity, different levels of pH. And then I made those wines exactly the same. So the only difference in the resulting wine is directly attributable to the ripeness when it was picked. And that was a really good experience, because I kind of got to find that sweet spot of the chemistry to make the style I was looking for. And Bacchus is a bit of a challenging grape in the vineyard, because it's never going to get to really high sugar levels. It's just genetically not, destined to do that.
Speaking about genetic, it's a cross between Sylvaner and Müller-Thurgau, correct?
Riesling and Sylvaner and Müller-Thurgau. So Riesling and Sylvaner were crossed to make a grape called Ehrenfelser, which is probably a little bit more known in the Okanagan than Bacchus. And then they crossed the Ehrenfelser with Müller-Thurgau. So 3 Germanic-inspired aromatic white grapes that were all crossbred to make Bacchus.
The son of a threesome. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been a good learning experience, and the challenge with the Bacchus is fighting the desire for increased sugar levels offset by the declining level of acidity. And I don't have any basis to say this other than pure conjecture, but I think in many reasons, the reason why Bacchus is made as a sweeter style is because they're shooting for that ripeness, and they're shooting for higher sugar levels. And in the process, they lose the acidity, they lose that backbone, that freshness. And if you have no freshness or acid to a wine, you might as well make it sweet, because it's got to have something. So for me, I don't give a shit about the sugar levels. For me, it's all about acidity and pH. That is how I make my pick decisions for Bacchus. And the sugar is going to be what it's going to be. Sometimes it'll be 11% alcohol. Sometimes it might be 12. I don't really care. It's not important to me how much alcohol I end up with in the wine. What I'm really looking for is capturing the freshness of the fruit expression and still maintaining that natural acidity.
And I mean, and just to close out the Bacchus, because I know that you started to dabble with different style of winemaking, different technique of winemaking, ancestral method. So like just like a little bit like Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc, you can make Chenin Blanc moelleux style, like sparkling dry, like regular wine. Bacchus can be a little bit like that per se.
Yeah. And we're actually doing our first ever traditional method sparkling Bacchus this year.
That's so freaking exciting.
Yeah, we picked the grapes on August 31st at just an ideal spot in their ripeness. And base wine's been made, and we're hoping to get that into bottle and start the secondary fermentation very, very soon.
Rob, sometimes I have something in mind that I know what I want to have as an answer, and I just spent the last 7 minutes talking about Jim's Block and Bacchus because I wanted you to tell us that you have an ancestral method coming up. So, hey, that was well set up right there. You have to give it to me. And we'll talk about your new release that you're going to do. So I think you just did it for your wine club member with the GSM coming up, or the SMG or whatever. Anyway, we'll talk about it at the end of what's new coming up. Okay, I want to get back to the Merlot 2018. Sure. I had 2 or 3 sips while you're talking. One thing that make it very unique for the site, the Conviction Ridge Vineyard, and in terms of your Merlot, and now it helps so much to understand with the saddle, with that really terroir-driven impact that it has. The structure of that Merlot, it's something that I don't think I've experienced from one single vineyard in the Okanagan about Merlot. This wine is so rigid. This one has so, and I don't say that in the wrong way. I mean, it's so unique and you can perceive it from a mile away. Super strong, super rigid structure, big tannin. This wine needs time. Every vintage we have that conversation, you and me. What I'm gonna do this year to try to soften up my Merlot, and we taste it like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, and you're like, I can perceive that structure, which to me, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. That takes me to Pomerol. That takes me to, but this is Bordeaux-like structure. It's not that soft, juicy California style Merlot. It's just so unique of the anywhere in the Okanagan. So let's talk about the profile and sometimes the headache that brings to you, because I mean, as every winemaker, you want your wine to soften up as fast as possible so you can freaking sell the shit out of it, right?
So no one ever accused my Merlot of being soft and plush. So I'm just going to kind of lean into the reality of what we've got here. And you know, harkening back to the discussion we had about the site, that produces a very specific and distinctive style of wine. And we're just kind of leaning into that and embracing what it offers. And this is a wine of elegance and structure and power that honestly, it needs time. You know, our first vintage spent the 2018, which is what you guys have, was 24 months in barrel. And we're experimenting. We've gone to 30 months. We've gone to 36 months. We're playing around with our oak program, you know, French oak, American oak, hybrids, percentage of new oak. So there's all these levers and tools that I have as a winemaker to try and draw out the best that I can from this block, without altering it too much to take away from the authenticity of it. So this wine is unapologetically structured, and it will truly reward you with some patience. I mean, 2018, we're just kind of hitting the drinking window of this wine now, I think.
Just now. Just now.
You know, we've had the 19 vintage was a bit riper than the 18, so that one is probably well into its drinking window. But this first vintage 18 was a bit of a cooler year as well. I'm not sure if you had that discussion on the vintage with Ted, but it was one of the cooler years on record. In fact, I believe September was one of the coldest Septembers that the Okanagan's had in recent times. So what that's good for is getting hang time on the vine. So the vintage was a long vintage. It went well into October, and October, although it wasn't very warm, it was quite sunny. And so you're still getting really good photosynthetic activity in the vines. The tannins are maturing. Like tannins don't really, tannin maturity is in more cases not a function of hang time rather than heat or other,
degree days.
Yeah. I mean, they help for other reasons, but when you can get a nice long season that's cool, it means you get that hang time, you get the flavor development, you get the tannin maturity without super high levels of sugar, which result in high alcohol wines. So 2018 was really a good vintage for that, and I'm sure you've probably had more 2018 Okanagan Reds than most people. It is a sleeper vintage. It wasn't a warm year, so it's a vintage that's producing wines that are maybe a bit more aromatically complex than they would normally. I'm speaking reds in particular here. Maybe a bit more aromatic than typical. More on the elegant side versus powerful and jammy. And with those higher levels of acidity, it really is going to be one of the better vintages for long-term holding, not just Armorlow, but reds in general across the valley here from 2018.
There was some smoke, some fire episode across the valley in 2018. We had a little bit of that conversation with Ted a couple days ago, and Ted was talking a little bit more about the ceiling was low, and that's where, but it never affected the grape. I mean, and I had the little bit of not smoke taint. I had a little bit of grilled barbecue-like smokiness, like fat burning on the Malbec at the beginning with the decade went completely away. 100% of our people listening with the Malbec were like, no, there's no smoke taint in that. This is not like, I mean, there's nothing like in it, because I got that often. 2018, that there's a good chance that my wine will be smoky. This is an I think sometimes that overreaction to a wildfire year in the Okanagan, people need to understand the source of the fire versus the block of grapes and the distance between. Can you talk a little bit about that so we can dismantle that stupid myth who drive me absolutely up the wall? And I'm sure it does too for you as a winery owner, which is your bread and butter here. So tell us, let's dispel that myth for once and foremost.
So with respect to 2018 in particular, August was the period. There's a few weeks in August where there was a fair bit of smoke, but there aren't a lot of smoke-tainted wines reported from that vintage. So it just didn't really happen. A lot of the smoke that came in was atmospheric level smoke, so drifting in from other areas. And there were a number of chemical compounds that cause smoke taint, but the most impactful is the guaiacol family, and it's got a really, really fast half-life. So when it's drifting from hundreds of miles away or kilometers, depending on where you are, the effect of that, the concentration of that chemical dissipates incredibly quickly. So if you've got smoke drifting up from Washington or California, which happens a lot in the Okanagan, just the way that the valley kind of funnels stuff in, by the time that smoke gets here, the chemicals that would cause the smoke taint are at significantly reduced levels of concentration. But that's not to say that smoke can't still have an impact on the vintage without causing smoke taint. One of the reasons why 2018 was a cooler year on average is because all that atmospheric level smoke blocks out the sun.
Yeah, we didn't have the sun exposure.
Yeah, so it affects the photosynthesis of the vines and how those vines mature and grow over the course of the growing season. So the smoke is having an effect on the vintage, but not through smoke taint. So the important delineation there is smoke can definitely impact the vintage without tainting any of the wines.
So we can define that as smoke, not smoke influence. Not even.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And there's no taint coming through from
No, absolutely
most
not.
wines I've had, but it's just part of the story for the year, right? And you know, I get on my soapbox all the time about vintage variation and how I feel that it has to be embraced. Trying to make the same wine year in and year out is just, in my humble opinion, and you have to let the story of the season shine through in the wines, whatever that might be. And you know, if we've got smoke that's impeding sunlight and that's slowing down ripening, that's part of the story. That's part of the reason why a wine tastes the way it does. And to pretend that it's not there is just disingenuous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like from 2018, if I recall properly, I remember having a couple wines from Tinhorn Creek who had something like, oh, we had a chat about it was worth noting. But I mean, other than that, that's pretty much the only recollection that I have of a smoke taint wine. And I mean, this is, so for people who are wondering, no, absolutely not. There's no smoke. Then people are tasting it right now with us will probably attest the same thing here.
A little funny story from the summer of 2018. So that's the year we took possession of this property, and we held, I forget the date, but it was sometime in mid to late August. We did a bit of a sort of a house warming, vineyard warming sort of gathering with a bunch of friends and colleagues from the industry. And there was a couple days where the smoke was quite thick and quite low. And the day we had our party was one of those days. And you've been here multiple times. So we were sitting out on our back deck and in the back lawn, just mingling and drinking wine. And some people that had never been here or been to Cleedon before, the next time they were at our property, they were blown away by the fact that we could see the lake from we were so close to it. I didn't know the lake was here because last time they were here, they couldn't actually see it. And we're close to the lake. So that's how thick the smoke was on that day.
And you just brought a point, the Cleedon. I mean, Cleedon was not under the radar of wine lovers before because, I mean, there was like a vineyard town. We had lots of vineyard holding. Some bigger company had some vineyard holding there. Some smaller grower had some vineyard holding there. But there was one winery, Crazy Leg, was the Skaha Winery, Crazy Leg, were there prior to you. You came on board in 2018 at that location. Now there's Lake Boat. So now it's becoming a little bit more of a destination, because I think for me, the beautiful thing is you're right in between Penticton and Oliver, or close to Okanagan Falls. So it's a destination that's easily, you can hit it on the way and swing by for a tasting and keep going down south. Or for the matter of fact, the other way around, if you're coming from the south, on your way to Penticton or the Naramata Bench, easy to swing by for a tasting. So Cleedon is becoming a little bit more of a happening, but I mean, it's a small, tiny town.
So for the longest time, so Cleedon it's a pretty unique spot. It's incredibly beautiful. It's very serene and pastoral. It's a small little hamlet that's tucked in between Highway 97 on the high side and Skaha Lake on the low side. So there's this series of undulating rolling hills that's, I think, only about 4 square kilometers in total size. So it's spectacularly beautiful. But it's a mix of small acreage and residential properties. So a big farm here would be 10 acres. There's only a handful of 10-acre properties. The most of the vineyards and orchards here are between 2 and 5 acres. So one of the main reasons why no one really set up shop here before was because the holdings were all just too small. So although we've been growing fruit here for better part of a century, most of the grapes were just being sold to larger wineries and never ended up in their own bottles. So Jerry and Sue at Crazy Legs and Skaha Vineyard were the first ones. They were kind of the pioneers of that movement here in Cleveland when they purchased in 2000. They planted in 2009. I think 2012 was the first vintage. They were the first to grow and bottle exclusive Cleveland wines. And now with them retiring, unfortunately, they aren't making wine anymore, which is a shame because that was absolutely amazing stuff. There's us, there's Lake Boat, Anthony Buchanan is here. Our neighbors just north of us, Birch Block, they don't produce their wines here, but they're producing single vineyard Cleveland Pinot Noir. It's definitely becoming a bit of a thing, and the best thing about seeing these Cleveland specific bottlings is we're starting to kind of see what it is that Cleveland brings to define wines. And that's been sort of the cool thing for me over the last 6 years is just seeing the personality of our wines start to really define themselves. And then when you can compare and contrast those to other single vineyard Cleveland wines, you're starting to see some of those similarities and those sort of consistent characteristics that are starting to show up.
We need to have you starting to drive the train of the VQA, the Caledan sub-appellation. Come on, because I mean, there's no better delimitation, there's no better frontier than having something like that. I mean, you got the lake, you got the mountain in the back, you got here and here. I mean, this is like this. That would be the easiest freaking AVA. Well, I say AVA,
yes and no. I mean,
yes and no. I know. I'm just. I like to create a little bit of a shitstorm about that because I'm all about.
We're a perfect little sub-contained commune, but we have two very distinctive soil structures in Caledan that each have a different impact on the wine. So more to come on that. Just leave it at that. That conversation is not dead.
No, I definitely not, because I think, well, to my very, very humble opinion, I think that's how we define a country in terms of producing wine regions, when you can really describe, and you and me have that conversation all the time. How can we, like how easy it is to get a freaking 20-mile bench Chardonnay on the nose, right? Yeah. And these definition of all that, because we learned that like it's on the bottle, it's everywhere. 20-mile bench, we learned like it defined that region of Niagara so well. Anyway, so long story. We've been talking about that for too long. I want to get back to this because it's to my opinion, 92 plus point. This wine, there's nowhere to be. It doesn't exist anymore. You gave me the last two cases that you have. There's going to be a few more cases in the future because you're planning a 6-year vertical, which will be starting with the 2018 all the way to 2023. So that's why the last 3 cases are set aside for that. We have the remaining 2 left. Yeah.
So I just what I have in my glass is actually the 2023 Merlot that I just pulled out of barrel yesterday and did the first blend up. So that one is going to get bottled sometime next year. It's going to sit in tank to kind of integrate and meld together. Those barrels have been sitting apart for 24 months, so they're going to put them into tank for a little bit now, and then we'll bottle those in the spring. And then once that's released, we'll have our first 6 vintage vertical of our estate Merlot, which is pretty exciting.
Freaking awesome.
One other thing too we got coming. I know you have tasted this wine yourself a couple times right out of the puncheon, but we are going to be doing our first ever release of a reserve level Merlot from the 2022 vintage. More details to come on that one, but that's going to be a pretty special wine.
It is. I had the privilege to taste it at least 3 times at different time of these evolution, which is going to be an absolute stunner. I already have a 94 points or better set aside for that one. I cannot wait.
So that one is coming out of barrel today. That's been in barrel for 36 months, and it's coming out of that new French oak puncheon today.
Speaking about that, I completely forgot to ask. That was your first vintage here, 2018, the first of the Conviction Ridge Merlot single vineyard, right?
Yeah.
And what was the oak program back then when you started?
We did 50% new French oak with the first vintage. Again, not really knowing the details of how that wine was going to shape up. We went with enough oak to provide a good backbone for the structure that we knew was there just by tasting the grapes.
Yeah, I love that. And just let me give you a quick tasting note. I think to me, this is dark fruit. And let's start on the nose, like that blackberry, black currant, lots and lots of tobacco. Like pipe tobacco, chewy tobacco. Like there's a lot of tobacco on the nose, and I get a little bit of almost like juniper, like pine needle as well, like on the nose, and on the palate. I love the texture. Definitely the oak is starting to melt into that. There's a beautiful wave of vanilla right in the middle, the mid palate. The structure is just absolutely amazing. What I love, it's a 14.4% alcohol wine, but bright acidity. There's that crunchiness in the middle of that big, bold structure wine, like almost like a spark of red fruit in the middle of these big black fruit. It's really interesting. And the Christmas spice, the Christmas cake, Christmas cookie lingers across at the end. The tannin are getting resolved, but still there. And people who know me, I've been saying that all over. I love a wine with a good tannic structure, and I'm well served with that. The wine, and this is just entering its prime window of drinkability. It's not ending; it's just starting.
Just starting, yeah.
Just starting. There's another 5 years to that. Easy.
Yeah, the fruit profile is still bright and primary. I mean, there's some tertiary notes that are starting to show through, but in some respects, some of them have been there since the start. I went back and had a look at the tasting notes we had done when we released the wine, and suede was in there. So we've had those sort of tertiary undertones from the beginning that are probably becoming a little bit more dominant now. But there is still fruit, and this is a wine that's got energy. All of the Merlots that we've been doing here have an underlying energy to them that really comes from the structure and the acidity.
That's fantastic, Rob. I mean, Mira asked me to not do more than 20 minutes, and we're 35 minutes. I told her that won't happen anyway. But what's new coming up? Because I have a few cool things here in front of me. A little Mourvèdre, a little GSM. So all of the component of the GSM in front. So this is coming out. This is going out to your wine club members.
So when 24, we went south, and we just tried to make the vintage as fun and unique as we could, as different as we could as well from what we would be normally doing here. So on the red side of the house, Grenache was one of the sort of the first things I went looking for, because I had this vision to doing a sort of a typical Côte de Rhône style red blend, which is the Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre varietals. And like for me, I hit this wine exactly on the head of what I was trying to do. It's been in bottle now for a few months, and you know, just starting to get out there into the market, and the reactions are pretty good. I'm happy with how people are perceiving the wine, and be sort of fresh and fruity and an easy drinking everyday wine. It's only spent 9 months in barrels and not a single new barrel. The idea was to really keep the fruit profile as forefront as possible, which is maybe a little different from my typical red winemaking style, like the Merlot. So the whole concept was just to keep this
big contrast there.
Yeah. And then the bit of an not so much an afterthought, but I just thought it'd be really neat for people to be able to experience each of those varietals on their own. I mean, Syrah is a fairly common grape in these parts, but not Grenache and definitely not Morvet. So I thought was, well, let's give people the ability to kind of have a deconstructed tasting of a classic, well-known blend from many other parts of the world. And that's kind of what those 3 individual varietals. We didn't do very much of those. We did 50 cases of the Morvet and I think 80 or 90 cases each of the Grenache and the Syrah. The focus was all on the GSM where we did 250 cases of it. But it's just cool to be able to taste those on their own.
I'm expecting to crack these 4 open to get all at the same time. I would like to do a little live to do that with our members, just to like an impromptu live or something, or Mira and I will schedule it and I'm just gonna sit there and just taste for fun, just to create a little touch base with our members during Christmas season. That's that kind of my.
Cool. So just 2 other little notes here on this GSM. So we did a blending seminar, a couple events this summer where people come in and we do deconstructed tastings out of barrel for each of the varietals, and then give people a chance to kind of make their own blends. We got featured in Orchard and Vine magazine for that seminar. So the current issue has a story from that blending seminar, which is really cool. And then another thing is we're doing a winemakers dinner in Penticton at Sociale on January 20th. And we're still trying to finalize the restaurant, and the chef are really excited about doing the deconstructed components of the GSM blend. So that might make its way to that dinner as well.
Ha! That's awesome. Maybe you can put us down for 2 people from Mira and I, because I would love to experience that. Definitely an amazing chef at Sociale. So, and with these wines, that could be fun. How many more seats do you have for that dinner? Do you know?
I don't actually. So the tickets are sold by the restaurant, so I don't have any insight. I'll try and reach out to Tyler at the restaurant, see if he can let me know. But yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thank you. Thank you for providing one of your first ever vintage of the Conviction Ridge Vineyard Merlot to us for this Advent calendar. Thank you for being here with us. Happy holidays to you, Michelle, all the family, and we're grateful to have you in Carl's Wine Club family. Thank you, my friend.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much.
Woohoo! That's pretty cool. I mean, like, that's very special. I wanted to show just a few of the pictures of things we've done. Stacy and Jeff, thank you for these pictures. They just sent them over. I think they were recently at Black Market, so you can now see what we're talking about in terms of like where they're situated, right near that Skaha Lake down there, and a beautiful site. Look at those grapes. Thanks, Stacy and Jeff, for those pictures. He mentioned the blending seminar. Well, we didn't do the GSM one, but a number of years back, a couple years maybe, we were there for their art of blending. They did a similar one where we blended our own syndicate blend.
Got that right.
And got to take a hand-waxed, hand-signed bottle home that we blended, which was pretty cool, right?
That was a lot of fun.
Really interesting. You learn a lot that way about what the different varietals do in a blend. So that was pretty epic. And I mean, we've done so much at Black Market. It's just been so awesome. Like, this was what you mentioned there, Carl, where we had our first and really only real harvest experience, where we spent a full day harvesting their Pinot Blanc, right?
Yep, you got that right. With the priest. With the priest at Culloden.
The Culloden priest, yeah. And we had a nice picnic lunch there. And so this was the 2021 Pinot Blanc that we had our hands literally all over. It was a pretty epic experience. And then, of course, they were our first ever Members' Choice Winery of the Year back in 2022. And this is the pig roast I was talking about. Look at that bad boy.
Yeah, a
Um,
nice spit there.
and we did a
And
vertical. We opened a bunch of magnums
there's
beforehand.
a vertical of syndicate for our VIP reception of the Members' Choice Award party. That was awesome.
It was really special. So, I mean, yeah, you can't get much better than that. It's pretty amazing. Stephen, you are in the prize draw. You and Tanya are both in there. Anyone that leaves a comment, I add you to the prize draw for the daily.
Just
And
by asking, you're in.
you're in. You've been in all these nights because
Uh,
you've been hanging out with us. So that's awesome. And yeah, Black Market is a fantastic site. It truly is. Really special stuff. So,
I keep
shall
hey,
we?
hey, before you do that, like I have a question for you. What do you think of that 7 days old
It's
open
still
that
going.
I
It's
know,
still
right?
going.
It's so much fun.
You'll have to take our word for it because I don't think that wine would last in a normal house for 7 days because it would get consumed because it's that kind of wine. Like you don't want it to be left like we did. But of course, we're opening one wine every night with you guys, so there's leftover wine. We also like to see what it does. It's like a little glimpse into how it will age, right? Every year is like 1 or 2 more years of aging. You get to see what it
Oh,
might do.
oh yeah, and also like how we react with either like how long does it takes for it to oxidize, for the
Oh,
structure to
exactly.
starting to crack, and like there's different behavior of the wine if the acid's gonna drop or so yeah. And this wine, this is so like, I definitely knew. That's how I started the interview with Rob. Like this wine is so structured, but just to see it after that long, and let's keep in mind when the wine is half bottle with just a cork in, there's so much oxygen in the bottle that it's like it's oxidation 101. Like this is a chamber of oxidation, and this one is just so freaking structured that it resisted to that whole time. It's freaking mind-boggling. Incredible.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah,
Hey,
I love doing that.
what was your rating for that wine?
92.5, so 92
92
plus
plus.
points,
Okay.
Carl's Wine Club. Yeah, I mean, this is now this is the time. This is the time for you guys to to be critical of my rating. I want to know if you agree, if you disagree, if I overscore, underscore. What would you say? Would you agree with my tasting notes that I provided to Rob during the interview? It's your time.
Here we go. And some people were asking about the 2017 Syrah and the 18 Merlot and how many more years. And Karen's saying she's heard from Rob that Rob feels they're drinking well right now. Now's a good window. You were saying, Carl, maybe 4 more years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I want to hold on to at least some of these wines and pull them out in 5, 10 years and see what goes on because I feel like they might surprise us.
Yeah, this one. If
Um,
there's one to surprise you in a very long, like long time, this one would be the one. I think this one has everything to surprise you. 50% new oak, new French oak, high quality, from a colder vintage, incredible structure provided from the vineyard. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so people are saying, Steven's saying 92 works for me. Not down to the 0.5 yet. He just goes with whole numbers.
Yeah,
Um,
and just to like to provide Stephen a little bit of a so where am I like when I go to point five, that's mean I thought of the 93, right? Like 93 was in my mind, and I'm closer to 93 than I'm to 92. That's why like that's where like, I introduces the point five pretty quickly, pretty early on in our reading journey. And yeah, so there was so yeah, that's how. And also sometimes when the price point is absolutely ridiculously afford like bring an outstanding value, that's where I often kick up an extra 0.5 for value proposition, value perception, value offering. So yeah, that's where my 90, my 0.5, my plus or not plus comes into play.
There you go. There you go. And maybe I misspoke about which vintages we're talking about here. But Karen's saying the Merlot has lots of life. This GSM is so enjoyable right now, along with the singles he made. Now, Stacy and Jeff are asking about price point. And this is one, sadly, of the wines that the only way we can get another bottle of this is if we get that 6-year vertical. Because he's literally down to nothing except what we've had.
Well, what he set aside for his, yeah.
Vicky, if she's still on, might have like 20 cases that she could maybe spare a couple to give you. When it was for sale, do we know about how much it was?
No idea. No idea. Like that 2018 hasn't been for sale for years. It was a long process with Rob because he really wanted to keep these 5 cases, and I was able to get 2 after like talking about it, and we had different plans, but I really wanted to settle on Merlot because I pitched him on like how special Conviction Ridge is, and like I wanted to showcase that structure, and but price, Jeff, this is
so I think on release in 2020 or whenever he would have released it, 21, it probably was around $40.
45, I would say 45, 50. Let's say 45. But
so
right now it's like the old MasterCard, like there was the commercial priceless, right? This one is priceless. There is no price attached. It's priceless.
It's pretty special being the first vintage that he got from that vineyard as Black Market as well. But yeah, Karen's saying what I'm saying is you might want to chat up Vicky and see. There might be a trade possibility. She has the stockpile of the Black Market Merlots out east in Ontario. And then the vertical he mentioned is coming up at some point early 2026, I think.
Not early 2026. The 23's coming off like just when like it's coming off barrel soon. So at that moment, so now it has to sit in bottles. So I would say probably at least 6 months. Or I don't know how long he wants that wine to be sitting in bottles, but we'll see. But it's not an immediate something like the spring, or like it's going to be gonna take a little time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is the absolute quintessential Conviction Ridge. This is such a great snapshot of that specific vineyard. This is terroir. This is, and I love, did you like the start of the interview with the saddle in the mountain and that little knob on the terroir, so which provide the sun to hit at very critical time. That's terroir 101, where like small degrees of inclination will provide of one very specific site a little extra to and you see now with 30 years old vine, these vines have been shining for 30 years just because of that little gap, that little bump, and that little gap in the cellar. Like, it's crazy. It's when you think about it. And it's fun because when you're at Black Market and you're sitting on the patio and you look right that little saddle between the two mountains, and you're like, that's what he's talking about. It's so subtle. So subtle, subtle, but
cool
it's
about that is like that's like it took millions of years in the making to have that very specific site with that specific mountain nearby and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. All right, let's do our prize draw for tonight. So this is a surprise bottle of wine, or an Enovino wine aerator, or chocolates, or we are going to be announcing, by the way, those new event dates, both virtual and in-person VIP signature touring dates very soon, probably in the next 24 hours. So we do also have, if you win, you can get one of these limited edition t-shirts from one of our last signature tours, which, by the way, the ones coming out to your inboxes, everyone will get a shirt just for that tour that you were on. So when we do the Similkameen tour, or we do the Naramata Bench tour, it's going to list the vineyards and the wineries we stop at and fun experiences that we've had there. So let's see who wins tonight's prize draw. Let's go. Let's go. What do we got here? We've got Bam. Bam. Can you see this? Yeah, let's do it. Dun, da, da, da. Oh, Jennifer.
Woohoo!
Congrats, Jennifer. So there's Jenny and there's Jennifer. Jennifer, and then there's Jennifer C. So there's 3 Jennifers. So I'm going to have to go back through the notes and figure out which Jennifer. Right? Because you see Jennifer C right here. You see Jenny somewhere here. Jenny H.
I think Jenny's our friend from Calgary.
Yeah, and Jennifer. So I'm going to find Jennifer and let her know that she won. Stephen and Tanya, I see at the bottom right here. See, right near Karen. That was on tonight. So there's still, how many more days? 3 more days that you can win.
So now we're moving on to 10 tomorrow. So yeah, 10, 11, 12, 3 more. And don't forget the last 2, we're changing the hour. We're changing the time. We are going to be going.
The 24th and the 25th, we're going to start earlier. So while
2
you're
p.m.
Yeah.
2 p.m. Pacific. So 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it's on our site here. So I'm putting the link in the chat where it has the pairing ideas for the next few nights. And also there's a green button at the top. And if you want to order some of these wines, you can. The only exception is tonight's wine. As we said, there's none left. But the other ones that we've been opening, there are some very limited quantities left. So before lots of other people see it, there's a secret link there just for you guys. You can order as many times as you want of the different wines, and we're going to compile them all together for you and ship them as soon as it's safe after the new year. By that, I mean we're going to be watching the weather like hawks. Is the prize a DRC on the 25th? Santa's Wine Club. That's a very good.
No.
I would love that. Would you like to donate one for such a purpose? No.
Exactly, right?
Right?
No. When I find one, we're going to keep it for one of the night in Burgundy. The trip that we organized, by the way, we have 2 more spots open. But yeah, 2 or 3, 2, maybe 3. But we have a couple spots open in Burgundy, arriving in Paris, June 4th, 2026, and 7 night in Burgundy, all the way to the 12th. Yeah, so we're going to save that one. We're doing a boys' night and a ladies' night. Mira's taking care of the ladies' night. I'm taking care of the boys' night. Other than that, a full day in Meursault for a Chardonnay day with the themed Chardonnay dinner cook at the chateau, and a Pinot Noir day where we're going to go to Vosnay-Romanée with the Pinot Noir dinner, a day with the barrel maker, probably at Louis Jadot, a day with what's his name, that fromager, the one of the very
Alain
top
Hess.
Alain Hess, one of the biggest cheesemongers in France. So yeah, so that's
Alain Hess. That is what it looks like. And that's what it looks like when you take it home. And oh my God, is it ever glorious. Holy smokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oops,
That's
more.
Chateau Meursault.
That's a snack we had.
Anyway, that's our mussels at the wine bar right in the little village of Beaune. Yeah. That's where Thomas Batchelder worked.
To work.
Yeah, that's one of the.
That's the DRC vineyard right there. It's pretty epic. Pretty epic. Oh my God. Look at that. So this is like what it was like. This is what our Photoshop version was. Haha.
Yeah.
So this is what it was really like. So Anyway, if you're thinking of going to Burgundy one day, maybe you want to join us for this one. Some of you guys in the chat are coming, and it's going to
Yeah,
be amazing.
Stephanie and Fabian Rice, owner at Fair Ox, are joining us. Richard and Twyla De Silva at De Silva Vineyards are joining us as well. And the only one, Mira Boucher, is gonna be there,
And Carl Booth.
rocking the cheese program for a week.
There you go. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, if you can't make it to Burgundy, there's other events. There's virtual events, and there's BC events that we're announcing. And I don't know, Carl, can we already announce our Calgary and Edmonton events? Maybe it's a little too early for those
We
ones.
can. We just need to finalize
But
a
we have
few
dates.
details. But I can also announce that we have started to put on paper some details for Italy trip, Tuscany,
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
So there's a
It's going to
lot
be a
going.
while before we announce that one, but we might have a sort of VIP wait list for those that want to know.
That's
be
why
in
I
the know
mentioned it.
first.
So, all right.
Yeah, so lots of great things coming up, more and more events. We're also looking at writing a book in 2026, and we'll need your feedback more and more around that, because there's too many of these stories that need to be like told. You know, I feel honored, but also a little bit scared if we're the only ones that know all these stories. So we want to make sure they're being told.
Well, I think I'm
And
starting to lose it at some point. I'm getting older and I'm still forgetting stuff. So I asked my young wife to start thinking of putting stuff on paper. So
there you go. Well, Canadian wine lovers, it was great to see you. Wine number 10 is being revealed tomorrow. Carl Boucher, let's see what you said for that one. You said,
well, wait a
10,
minute. Before that, wine number 9. We need one more. We need one word to describe this wine, and this one is easy. I mentioned that word at least 20 times since the beginning of that show, and it's structure.
That's the one I was thinking of. I was like, power? No, structure.
No,
yes,
structure.
exactly.
I mean, you're allowed to use that one. This one is very obvious. This is my one word description for that wine, structured. So put yours in there. Daryl says happy. I love it. But yeah, sorry to cut you off, Mira. You can come. You can say that. So wine number 10. What did I say about wine number 10?
You said, please chill around 12 degrees. Pairing suggestion, turkey meatballs with honey ginger glaze. And I know which one we're talking about because we're down to 3. I can now keep track of what's what.
And that one, when you had a sip, your first sip, you said, holy shit, what is that? That was your reaction.
It's a really good one. Yes, I really like that one.
Yeah.
And we've got an interview coming up for that winemaker as well. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Jenny's saying sophisticated. Daryl's saying happy. Yeah, it makes him happy. I mean, he's a Merlot lover. I love Merlot too. And this is a spectacular Merlot. I love it. So yeah,
love that. You guys are the best. And we are already excited to join you again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 Mountain. On that note, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher.
Carl Boucher.
Tomorrow.
Cheers.